All right, for all the guitar players out there, we're gonna go over some really creative uses for Melodyne that you can apply to your playing to get some really unique sounds and to save time and to stay inspired. So let's just start here with a real basic lead guitar melody. It sounds like this. Now, obviously it's easy for us to just tighten up the tuning from here, but there's actually another tool I want to bring your attention to, and that's the fade tool, which you can find in the amplitude tool drop-down menu right here. Now, normally we might use it to soften the attack or even the decay of a few specific notes, but what I like to do is select all the notes at once and then just apply a slow fade in by just dragging your mouse to the right here. So check this out. So you can hear that instantly gives us that classic like volume pedal sound that a lot of guitar players like to use. But I've also found that it can be a nice touch to just go up to the top here and go to the note leveling macro. And if we just make the quiet notes louder and the louder notes quieter, it gives us more of a consistent performance, because sometimes those quieter notes that you play, when you apply this sort of fading envelope to them, they can get lost in the mix a little bit. So it's nice to bring those up to a more consistent level. From this point, you can just go through and adjust the envelopes a little bit more to taste. So if you wanted to make it a little tighter, you can just, select everything and adjust that fade backward a little. Now, if you've done a lot of tracking of guitars in the past, you'll know that in order to make it sound big and thick and wide, you need to record multiple layers with different tones and then kind of spread them out into the stereo image, because timing and level and tuning and tone differences can all play a part in our ability to perceive it that way, and it's really easy to manufacture those in Melodyne. So let's go through an example here of what you can do just bearing that idea in mind. So if you've got just a rhythm guitar track like this, so what we can do from here is just create a couple of duplicates of the track we've got, and I've actually went ahead and imported the original into Melodyne, so it's going to create copies of the plugin for us here. Now, what we want to do is, I'm just going to rename one of these L1 and one of these R1. And the idea here is that we're going to take this duplicate here. So let's make sure we're on the right track, which we are. So rhythm guitar L1. What I'm going to do is select all the notes inside of the grid in Melodyne, and we're going to go to Edit and add random deviations. And I'm going to add drastic pitch deviations, and go to the same menu, and we're also going to add some timing variations. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do it with the other track. And the idea is that we're kind of checking off these things in the checklist that will create sort of a wider and thicker stereo image for what we're working with here. And now I just want you to take a listen to what it sounds like with all these together. And we're just going to pan the duplicates left and right so you can really get a sense for what's going on here. So you can hear that it's starting to sound larger than life, which is exactly what we're after here. Now, from this point, instead of like changing out your guitar or tweaking your amp settings or whatever, what I like to do is change up the tone from within Melodyne on these duplicate tracks. And there's a really easy and fun, fast way to do it. And that's with the formant tool. So if you go up to the top, the toolbar section here, and you select this one that looks like a graph, that's the formant tool. And I just want you to take a listen to how drastically you can or subtly even, change up the tone just using this tool alone. So I'm gonna press Command A and select all the notes and just take a listen to what happens when we go up and down. So let's say we start with something like 500 cents formant above the original. And then let's say we go to the duplicate track and we select everything, and let's just go the opposite. Let's do like minus 500. Okay, and then all together now, let's take a listen to what this does to our tone on top of the original. So to me, it sounds a bit like changing the pickups on your guitar or something, but you know, in this case, you don't really have to re-record anything. All the work is already done for you. Now, since this is so easy to do to make duplicates, let's duplicate it a couple more times. And then what we're gonna do is I'm going to be a little bit extreme here, and with our new duplicates, I'm going to change the pitch up an octave and down an octave and recombine everything and show you how epic this can sound. All right, so now we've got our octave above and our octave below. So check out what this sounds like all together now. It's just the original. And amazingly, this is all from just a single recording, which is especially useful if you're trying to play challenging leads or melodies or even chord progressions. Not to mention that it's impossible to play the same thing the same way twice. So if you have to layer something like this together, it's nice to have this option because you know, you can thicken it up without having to play it all over again in precisely the same way. One of my favorite functions inside of Melodyne for creative uses, especially with the guitar, is to use the sound editor. Now, we've got some pretty awesome and unique choices at our fingertips for sort of sculpting our tone to our liking. And particularly with recorded guitar, I like to either accentuate or mellow out the harmonic content depending on the context. So if we took that same chord progression from earlier and let's say we had recorded a little lead melody over the top that went like this. Just something real basic. But we wanted to find different ways of making the tone a little bit more unique or just change it up in different ways. What I really like to do is head up to the sound editor, and you can do that on the top left of the plugin, this little graph icon. And you get access to some incredible tools here. So if I just solo this and play it, you can see what's happening with the fundamental frequency in relation to the harmonics within the recorded material here. But where it gets really fun is these bottom sliders and even these top ones too. For example, if we wanted to make the tone a little bit brighter, we could just increase the brilliance a bit. Or maybe we wanted to go a little darker. And one of the best controls that you have access to is the emphasis slider up at the top here. And I like to think of this as kind of either accentuating or maybe mellowing some of the more unique harmonics within the recorded material that you're working with. So you can start to hear what this does when you go up and down here. Or you can even go the other way too. And you can also go below 100% and get some crazy effects. Maybe you want to change the ratio between the odd and even harmonics. Kind of almost starts to sound more like a synth there. I find that works really nicely when you're layering on top of the original tone. You can just get a different flavor profile. But if we were to layer this lead here, what I might do is lower the pitch and then change kind of some of those controls that we went over, and you can get something that sounds a little bit more like this. And then here's the other one. So it just sounds crazy, but when you layer it all together, it forms this really cool combination. All right, so I hope this gives you guys some helpful ideas on how you can streamline your workflow, but also create some really unique and useful and interesting tonal adjustments to your guitar playing. All right, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.